application, right? I like this with the gis. I am going to show a couple of these specific things today with the sleeves. And guess what? Like that book I mentioned, half standing opponent, half kneeling opponent. That's a cool part about the book. And then it's half gi and no gi. And if I can't hook grip your sleeve, right? I C grip your hand, like it's the reverse grip like that, right? So the techniques I'm showing, if I talk about a gi application, there's a no gi application, so I'll come over and work that with you if you want, right? I almost like pretty much all my stuff other than obviously lapel chokes. I like that. The first 2 years, almost 2 years I trained, we didn't even do a gi program, right? It was the gym I trained at, they were just MMA at the time. It was like Ultimate Fighter Season 1 era, all right? So, with this one, it's kind of like if I'm, think about this as like no man's land. I don't want to be, okay? Because he could grab my pants, he can do all sorts of things. Yeah, he's like, oh, I can tell he's drilled all sorts of, like, he's like, it's smooth. Right? Oh, I just do this when I'm here, right? I got my things I like to do as well. So this isn't a place we hang out, right? I'm going to scoot in on this. And you might have noticed when I was doing this a second ago, there's a little scoot, right? And now I'm under, right? So that was with my double unders. What we're gonna do here, right? And I like this because it's balanced, right? And then look what happened naturally. He's kneeling, right? So I've got this lapel, sleeve, wrist is options. And you've seen every time we've done this, you put his hands on the mat, naturally. So we need to think like, we want to strategize. When do these techniques work? Right? That's going to be kind of the main thing. Like, everything I'm going to show you from X-Card is they do this, or they're like, man, I don't need to do that. They're going to grab my hands. They stand up. Or they might go and expose their back. That's the keynote theme for the whole day. Okay? So with this, all I'm doing is, what's interesting is you'll see like Marcel Garcia going in like this, rolling in his gym. Puts a lot of foot in that, and like showing like the best women rollers, right? Like some of you guys, anybody who trained at Lovato, you can see you have the patch on. I trained him a few months ago. He's a guy you would see rowing in Marcel's gym on his YouTube channel, right? Like it's Johnny Hendricks, like it's the who's who of grapplers that goes through there, and he's just doing this. Yeah, exactly. Can't hang out there. Okay? So, okay, so we're just grabbing the lapels. That is the only difference. With this, we're trying to elevate you over the head so you can put your hands on the mat. If I want to put you in X guard, I want to unweight your legs. If your hands are on the mat, your legs are not going to be as heavy. Make sense? Let's do it 1, 2. Okay. With this one, let's do something that's very common. Let's go from an outside guard to an inside guard, like I was mentioning, a closed guard. Okay, but this is what I mean by common, right? I heard John Donaher say this on a video. He was like saying that at the highest level of the sport, everybody does standing guard breaks. And that's a generalization, but statistically speaking, it's an accurate assessment. I would share the same opinion. I'm like, okay, we need to look at things like that, right? Like he's like, hey, yeah, all my guys at the highest level, we do standing guard breaks and passes, you know. And that doesn't mean, oh yeah, they never work from the knees. They didn't. They work break closed guard in all situations, but it's very common. I'll give you your lunch real quick. We work on these at my gym all the time. We do stuff like that. Okay? And there's all sorts of variations to that. Alright? But this entry to X guard we're gonna do is gonna be when somebody stands up in your close guard. Okay? Here. Now look. I saw some of you kind of maneuvering your legs like this. Okay? And this is the entry that we use this on. Watch what my legs do. So I picked a side here. I never lost connection here. I'm not in risk of a leg attack. I inverted my knee between his legs. Then I go butterfly, X. Okay? Guys, I used to like get upset that there's like so many details to remember before you could even do things, right? Like, and I remember this knee being one of them on an X guard. Like, oh man, I gotta just hold his knee the whole time I got the position. It's just a monitor, but one of the techniques is based off of pushing his knee like that, right? Like you're kind of immobile there, but when you're standing up, that's what makes you go back. Okay? So back in my closed guard, please. When you stand up, I start inverting there, come here, and drop that in. Okay? And you saw like I was pushing away and his foot's light. That's where I could transition, or he may step over, or he may drive back into me. He may bear crawl away. We're gonna see all the reactions will have the techniques. All right, so we're still on entries, all right, but we're almost done with that too. Okay? So get a partner, they stand up, close guard, invert the knee, and go to X guard. Try not to lose connection. Does that make sense? Let's do it 1, 2. Okay. So I'm gonna do one other entry, and we're just gonna start attacking them. Okay. This is one that I use. I mean, it just, you know, situations occur, and if you grapple, you don't need a lot of context, right? And it's just like, yeah, you know, butterfly guard. I've got entries for that, right? Escaping side control mount. I get butterfly guard all the time, right? I'm not trying to teach a butterfly guard seminar like the front half of the book, okay? But there's some definite linkages there. But those are two inside guards, and we saw, okay, close guard, right? That's kind of outside moving to the inside. Some possibility there as well, okay? With this, we're just gonna be seated. And I know a lot of you have probably seen colored belts in the room, a shin on shin guard, right? You can do some different things with this, including getting into X guard, single X, okay? But what we're gonna do is we're gonna play double ankles, right? So from here, I hook around, so like he get a step back, right? If he wants, right? I just have my foot. So it's like all this free area here. So I slap here around his knees, so he can't just step out. It's almost like pull your hand away. Pull your hand away. I just reinforced that area you pulled it out of, you know? So it's just a gripping concept. I need to reinforce this, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go pick your favorite side, okay? When I attack, and when I teach my competitors to attack, we have strategies where we might switch and go to the offside, but I tell them to attack on their favorite preferred side. So if you figured out what side you like on X guard, go that side every time. If we were doing submission defense or escaping pins, I would want us to work both. Hey, yeah, you need to put them on the other side, go, right? Because you don't get to choose, right? I don't get to choose. Oh, you're attacking my arm. Could you put me in an armbar on the other side, please? This is not my good side. We don't get that, right? So you got to do defensive stuff both sides. This offensive stuff, let's pick your favorite side, right? If you want to do one out of every 3 or 4 reps, you're offside, that's fine. I'm not going to deter that. Just that's good for dexterity, all right? So what I want to do here is I'm going to pick my favorite side. I'm going to off balance him here. Boom. Right now, see here, he still has posture, okay? Also, one observation, I said this to several groups. Look how I'm on my side. My fingers are pointing in the direction my hips are facing. Sorry. Like that was like a dam holding the water back right there. Like boom, you like it's off balancing him that way, putting his weight that way. But I'm not on my back. Okay, so that's one small little nuance here when we start attacking from this position. So if I want this leg to be light, I'm pushing away a little bit. Okay, now here I'm gonna lift and pull him backwards. Who knows what a De La Riva hook is? This is like a real cheap form of that. right? Here. Here's the thing, guys. I know we have some young competitors here, or just practitioners. You may never compete, and that's fine. Jiu-jitsu can still be for you the whole time. But guess what is the first move that is exotic you will be able to do if you're a teenager or if you're 12 years old? A straight ankle lock. If you are an adult, you can already do them in tournaments if you don't know them. So I'm working a couple of them in. This one is legal for white belts, and you've got to be, what is it, over 16 years old, I believe, at the AGF. Okay, but this, I need to take some slack out with this, okay? And here, like what I'm gonna do is expand. I think about moving my hip forward and expanding my chest like this. My hip goes forward, but I don't want to arch way back. So move your hip forward, and then when I say expand my chest, like I got his ankle locked into my chest. All right. So what that is that. Like, look how I'm just loosely gripping here, but that's leverage. Okay? So when I do something small like that, I'm not squeezing with my arm. I don't have to be strong with my arm to do this. He just told me. Oh, he was ready to tap there, but not yet. You know, it's just like, and that was just the chest expansion. Okay? This takes some slack out of the lock so I can get into position. This boxes hip. Sorry. I know X guard's fancy, but get a side control real quick. Just your cover guard, please. There it is. Off of your number one side control escape.
That's how I got from there.
That too.
And that's how I got in Wichita. That's how I got smashed.
Right, and we were kind of talking
30 seconds.
about a knee on belly observation, where you know, if you leave your foot hanging off knee on belly, you get caught right here. Okay, but it's there too. All right, just like I use that same escape he was doing to get the butterfly guard, and then I can go to my X guard. All right, and get right back to this same ankle lock. Right, so it's about having those strategies, those A's and B's, where you just make it simple for yourself. Okay, so let's take a look at that again. So you stand here. Okay, pick your favorite side. Go in here, like this. I'm trapping this here. And grab your lapel or just here. Nothing crazy. Look, lift up and pull it back. That, when he fell, it took a little slack out. So people be trying to ankle lock and stuff. It's not low enough on the joint. That's one of the problems. Here. And then another problem is start hipping that way. All right. Now you're trapped. All right. Is that one of my favorite movies, The Bronx Tale? We're joking about this at Worlds. Now you just can't leave. Right, it's a gangster says this to these bikers. Now you just can't leave. Right. But here, I mean, it's just real intense already, and I'm just holding, you know. And then I start that chest expansion leverage and that hip forward. Gets gnarly. Okay, one more time. Yeah. Couple of reps on that ankle lock. Okay, has anybody seen that ankle lock before? Very, 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 very similar to the one that Messi finished Aoki with on. Very similar. He switched his grip, and his leg that I'm stepping over and blocking the hip with was on the inside. It's the only difference. Okay? So let's do that from under side control real quick. So that X guard entry, it's super cool. I'll tell you a funny story. I went and did a private lesson with another black belt, Roy Delgado. He showed me that ankle lock that we just did, right? I'm like, man, that is so sick. I've never seen that before. And I'm like super on X guard at the time, and I go get my Marcelo book out, and guess what? It's been in the Marcelo book, every belt I've ever had, right? All through the time, it was just in there for me, and I didn't look at the pictures hard enough, right? So, but this one is variation. I just footnote things, right? I learned from Willie McLaughlin. If you guys know him, so Bryce Mitchell, right? Is Bryce's head corner, right? Guy is like uncle to me, really. You know, used to go train at his gym every Saturday, right, when he was in Cabot. We moved a little further away, and he still coaches, but his son runs his gym too. It's like, saw that Rudy grow up. Coaches some of my guys in boxing and stuff. So they're close friends. But I talked to Willie this last weekend, saw him at Bentonville. But he's who I learned this from, right? And it's the only other person I've ever seen show. So, cool story there. So when he starts to recover his guard there, and that shin comes in, everybody knows that. We're already there. Sit back, block. Right, here, you do something to me. How's that do? Right? All right. So it's just there, like it's literally hanging out for you, right there. And then you got De La Hiva hook, right? So this is like how Musa Messi was doing it, right? He still had both legs inside, okay? And then what he did is he switched, yes. Which, ironically, and I could be misconstruing the leg positioning, but I've seen Rolly hit that twice in a match, and I believe one was against Chris Westphal several years ago. But and then he did it somewhat recently at Masters Worlds last year or something. But it's a switch grip ankle, right? I'm showing just this one, right? But it's just kind of interesting because this same sort of submission happened last time. We'll do one more. So as soon as they get that knee in, right, that's when you wrap it, set in, good, right? Go ahead and get the thumb. Okay. Let's work that from under sight. So let's just work from that same entry. And guys, what I would like is if you feel comfortable to do one of the other entries, start doing that. Maybe you have a preferred entry that we did. Start doing that. Okay? I remember going to seminars that people like Cops Zamora and waiting to the end of the seminar. We didn't do any X guard. They're like, what are some ways to get to X guard? And he's like, show the only one I already knew. You know, and I'm like, oh. So entries are important. You got to be able to get there, right? So if you play butterfly guard, great. There's escapes, all sorts of ways that you can get to this position, okay? So we're just working here from this knee control still, okay? If you want to do another entry, that's fine, but I'm going to show from right here, okay? So remember I was talking about being on my side. So when I go in here, like this. Now, look here, I've got his sleeve. Okay, so go ahead and posture back up. So look what I'm going to do. I'm going to pass this and hook his elbow. Okay, I know, right? So pull it down. Here. Okay, now I let go. Now for the finish. Coming up. Okay. Who knows the Kimura? Right? Here's a funny story. I was very fortunate and grateful to get to do a private lesson with Hickson Gracie recently. Right? I got to ski from him while I was there. And we were doing Kimuras. We were actually doing escapes. So I showed the escape to Rob before. But he looks at me and my friend Chris and he goes, hey, North-South Americana. And we're just like, I don't do North-South Americanas, do you? Right? And he was meaning Kimura, right? They just kind of use the term interchangeably. In judo, it's called udigarami. And you know how when we're doing that leg lock, that's a leg entanglement. Udigarami means arm entanglement. Okay? So you see a lot of the Japanese terms in the techniques sometimes. And that's kind of the history of it, okay? So here, I'm coming in with that same style of entry. Oh, sorry. That happens too. Freebie there. Look, this is a freebie too. A lot of times it's just hanging out. He may put, like there he didn't put his hand on the mat. But why not? I'm more on my back right now. Right? Oh, I'm more on my side. And then I've got either hand. The near sleeve, the cool thing about it This is just hanging out here. It's the closest one. Okay, so look, it's like a cross grip. Like I'd be reaching across if we were standing in front of each other. Okay, but it's the nearest one to my hand. Right, so I grab there and I press. See, I want to square his elbow out and lift, and he falls. Now let go of the legs. My preference is the Kimura. I've got one of our white belts, Randy. He likes Yoko Senkaku. That's what Gordon and John down here and them call it. We call it the Rand angle. That's the dude in our gym that does it, Randy. Randy Triangle, you know, real creative. But he has all these ways to finish it, and I was down watching Gordon Ryan's one of his DVDs one time, and he just goes down all of these things about him. Like that takes us down. I'm like, you know, Yoko Senkaku, and he's like, I don't know nothing about that. Right? It's a Japanese term. A lot of people use them. Okay, so look here. I like the Kimura and letting go of my legs and coming up. Okay, let's see that one more time. Right there. Make sense? Let's do it. This is one of my favorites. This will always been number one sweet for me, right? But it was the number one sweet for me before I ever started showing you guys the way that made it way more effective for me. Okay? And it's the timing. I know how to do a lot of techniques, and there's a bunch of those techniques I learned that nobody really explained the timing or like the strategy of why it works, right? Like what's the context? How do we make this work? How do I off balance? What's the details behind it, right? Well, this one is when they stand up. It's when you get them here and they're like, oh, no, I'm not going to let him grab my sleeve. It's ridiculous, right? So here, we're going in, and I got him down, but he stood up like that, okay? So we'll just practice that just like that. Just start hands on the floor, and just get your partner here, do any entry, just start here, right? And when he stands up, we're timing it just like that, okay? Like that. I want there to be a little weight on the foot, right? And then I'm doing this with this leg. I'm pushing it backwards.
Weight on this foot?
On both, really. But this one, if it's just weightless, sometimes I find that I have to put everything on this one, right? Which will work, you know, it just did. But sometimes it'll be all the weight on this one and not enough on this one, and it just
kicks the leg out.
Yes. That's why the context of what I'm saying, a lot of time I didn't time it. Right? So think about when he's down, he's got a lot of weight. And when he's going to stand up, that weight's coming up. It's the percentages. He's redistributing his weight. Okay? So his hands are on the mat. You notice he's standing up here. This goes into your favorite guard. Okay? Whatever guard pass you like. We're going to do something different. Okay, so a lot of people think you need a pinch to squeeze a knee bar, and it probably doesn't feel super good, okay? I'm actually opening my knees. My feet are crossed, and my hips are going forward. I'm not arching back, right? I grab here so he can't circle his leg. If he turns his knee, right, like that, we're done, okay? So here, right, I grab that toe and I put it under my ear. Now he can't turn his foot, okay? I don't need to squeeze and back heel. I need to open my knees and back heel. So we're right here, right? Watch it. Here's like a, you know, my legs are like this. Watch how much hip movement I can get. Use my legs like this. Right? again. Right here. This and that. You can get out of this either way you want. Like turn down, whatever. That's the power of that grip. Right? It's a very strong grip. And you might not feel that strength when you're playing scoop grip with that. But when you sweep, you come here. And pass. We're going to take an E-slide. Right? That's almost like you see my back. Okay, now, here's the problem. You can turn his foot. That's the number one problem right now. Before I ever pulled this shin out, that's the problem. Now he can't. Got it stuck under my head. I'll reinforce it. You can let it go if you want. Here. Now this is the point where you see almost everybody stay here with the legs. Here. Okay. My heels are gonna move back. Because a lot of people get that detail right. But my knees are open. This knee opening power, watch a couple other places it comes up. We were talking about this before this seminar. It doesn't feel good, right? Put me in turtle with your hooks. Yeah, just both hooks. And put your feet together and flatten it. Ah, yeah, it's that. That's the knee opening up power, right? We'll smash a person flat on the floor. So I'm just applying that. 20. That's it. You already know how to do it. Okay? So, here. Whoa. I'm making him go this way. He doesn't want his sleeve strapped, so he stands up. I might be faking this way. So I can go this way. Right? Get that under your ear. Open your knees. My feet are already crossed. Here. Hips forward. Does that make sense? Let's try that. 1, 2. It's a different pathway, okay? First, anybody but Rondo want to see if they know how to do the double underpass. I bet you can make it work either way. It's not even going to make it a contest. This is double underguard pass. Who uses that? Come here. I'm just going to see if I can stop. Just one small test, and if you guys know this, and you may, like I didn't know it for a long time. Just do the pass. Back. Just take it kind of, right? So well, what? Here's, everybody teaches that pass to look back. That's right. So start. Yeah, that. Yeah. Just think about this. Put this in my armpit right here. So like that, I've done, in my mind, like, okay, and then this is another thing. I'll do this either. Right? And I'm even going to come up on my feet. That's a positive. But when I start looking back, right? So, here. Don't go deep. Here. Right? Just shallow. If he doesn't have a belt or you want no gi application, just grab here. But otherwise, I grab there and I pull. I come up and I go diagonal. So instead of us being like periscope, just head over head, I go here. And then instead of looking back, I look up. Try to do that thing on top.
Oh, wait. It's gone. Oh.
All right.
Yeah.
So let me do the X guard sequence on you, please. So take that sweep we were just doing. I'm here, I'm standing up. Here. Not over his head, here. And look up. Okay, one more time. Here. Stands up. Look, I can just take it backwards without even doing the ankle. I just push his knee back. I mentioned that a couple of times. But just I like the ankle thing. It's my thing, you know. I like it. Always have. Here. Okay? This is part of what gets you count. Right? People are trying to chase the paper cutter choke from here. And most people that I see trying to do that, I don't even do it the same. I don't do that move the same way as them either. But so here. Cool. Just observe the difference. I'm gonna look back again. Everything, I'm gonna make everything the same. Everything's the same again. Right? So I'm looking back. Yeah, oh, good job. I'm about to get taken down. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna stand up. Low man wins. Right?
Yes.
But it's a sweep to the rear. You can go to the ankle, you can pick their foot up and just push their knee. They may even just lose their balance and fall over. I've seen that happen to several people today. You know, figuring it out, the person just falls over. Think about when you go put the first person that you put in X-Guard in class or tournament in X-Guard. That might be what they did. They might, I don't do this, I just fell over. What's going on here? You have my legs. Alright? So, do that rear sweep and come up into the double under guard pass. Because that is a fundamental guard pass. And a lot of people do it the other way. And if you don't know the counter, it's not that big of a deal. Alright? Look up. Expand your chest. Make sense?